Dr. Elizabeth Hafer wants you to get your head on straight. In a world gone sideways, having balance and integrity in all areas of life leads to having confidence that breeds clarity. Clarity is essential to living an authentic life, and all the information shared on the Get Your Head On Straight podcast is designed to inspire you to live your life fulfilled. Enjoy the show.
Welcome to Get Your Head On Straight with Dr. Elizabeth Hafer. I'm excited about my guest today, Dr. Alfred W. Tomp. I've been wanting to interview him for several years. We have a lot of amazing things to cover, especially his testimony about how he got into being an upper cervical chiropractor. And we have some special news at the end of the podcast. Welcome to the podcast, Dr. Tomp.
Thank you, Dr. Hafer. My pleasure.
So I have been with this amazing doctor for almost 11 years. I was a student at Davenport, Iowa at the Palmer Clinic, and I needed to have an internship. And I felt like I was being called to come to California. And this guy took me on as an intern when I was in 9th trimester, kind of ending my college career. And I moved to Southern California with my family, hoping that everything would work out. So 11 years later, I sit here, having had the most rich experience working at Precision Chiropractic with Dr. Tomp. And I wanted to interview him so you guys could understand the passion and the love and the dedication that I've been able to serve in for the last 11 years. So Dr. Tomp, will you please tell me what got you into chiropractic? Because everybody wants to know.
I was injured playing football in high school. I went to Cervite High School in Anaheim, and it was at the end of my freshman year, and I came off a bad back injury that just didn't get better. It just got worse and worse. I literally was bedridden for 2 months. My parents took me doctor to doctor, tried all kinds of different things, even an acupuncturist, which was wild back in that day. And nothing worked. And I literally had the thought that my life was over. My aunt was dating an upper cervical chiropractor, which I now know now. I had no clue what he was. He came, looked at me on a Saturday night. I was obviously way out of alignment. They carried me, put me in the backseat of my mom's car, up from Yorba Linda out to Hollywood, which is where his office was. He came out with that chair. If you guys have been in the office, you've seen the x-ray chair, popped me in the chair, took some pictures. I remember the clamps on my neck. I barely remember the adjustment, but I remember that literally within minutes, I was feeling so much better. And I was like 80% better walking out the door. And I remember grabbing his card. It said chiropractor. I'd never seen the word before. And all of a sudden I started noticing the chiropractor signs all over the place because I'd never heard of it. There was a chiropractor next to my dad's office. So I started going in there, and he was just a standard chiropractor. I remember him taking big x-rays of my spine, and he would start cranking on me, every day. I think every day for that first week. By the time it was the end of the first week, I was starting to drag my leg. I was going the wrong way. I told my parents, I'm like, this isn't doing what it's supposed to be doing. So I tried another chiropractor that used that little activator thing, and that didn't do anything. And then it was back in the car, up to LA to get adjusted again. And, my chiropractor's like, why'd you let anybody touch you? And so I started to actually really realize that there was this real unique specialty that had saved my life, and I was really blessed by it. And I always wanted to study upper cervical chiropractic, even though I thought I wanted to be a medical doctor at first. And when I went to chiropractic school, I was blessed to learn multiple upper cervical techniques. I was going to practice NUCA when I happened to get my first Blair upper cervical adjustment. And that's a whole long story in and of itself.
Right.
And that adjustment held for 13 months. Thank God it held for 13 months.
Right.
Changed my life again. All my symptoms cleared up. Was 100% symptom free, which I hadn't been in probably well over a decade. And it was Dr. Weldon Muncie who gave me that adjustment in 1991.
Wow. If I could sit down with anybody, I think I would love to talk to Dr. Muncie. I had a fortunate experience to meet him at his funeral. He passed away, I think, in May of 2008. And I joined the practice in July. And so the first thing we did was a road trip to Long Beach, and all the Blair doctors from all over the country came in to celebrate Dr. Muncie's life. And that was a beautiful thing because that one man made such a huge impact. I mean, he was like Dr. Blair's right-hand man. So I feel like I'm a great granddaughter of Dr. Blair in a way from the training that I've received from all these phenomenal doctors over the years.
You definitely are.
The lineage will continue. So you had this life-changing experience at 14, decided to become a chiropractor because it made such a huge difference. And then you learned the Blair work.
Yes.
So now you've been in practice, I think we just added it up. It's 27 years.
Yes. Yes. I've just passed the 27-year mark. We set up our x-ray machine in 1991, started seeing patients at the beginning of 92.
Incredible.
I just thought that everybody I would adjust would just hold. That's kind of what I thought.
Right.
But it didn't quite work that way.
Yeah.
And I remember being in practice probably 6 or 7 years, maybe even more, close to 8 years. and just continuing to think that my adjustment wasn't good enough, my analysis wasn't good enough, my correction wasn't good enough, because I had patients that were out a lot, like every week.
Mm-hmm.
And it was Dr. Gordon Elder that told me. He looked at me and he said, because he worked in Dr. Muncie's office, he says, Dr. Muncie's got a bunch of people that are out every week. And that's when I thought, oh, we need to do something different. So that's when I pulled that whole subset of patients out and started doing some different work with them, got them to hold, and then started taking those procedures and applying them to everybody.
Right. And that was the thing that I was really attracted to, because having come from Palmer, obviously you guys listening have heard my story. And if you haven't, you got to check out that episode. It's called My Story of Hope. And it's the whole story behind why I'm so passionate about the Blair work and how it saved my life. But when I was looking for my internship, I had gone to Palmer, which is like the Harvard of chiropractic. And I had all of these incredible techniques and ways to help patients. And I knew Blair was the answer on how to clear the subluxation. But I also believed there had to be some support behind it, right? Because if you get adjusted and you don't hold, what good is it? So when I met Dr. Tomp, I remember the first time we had a phone conversation, we talked for 2 hours about all things chiropractic. And I was like, this is where I have to be. And it was just like this really cool little divine appointment and a divine season. When I came and joined the practice as an intern, we were doing things that included blocking and, checking posture and using that little activator every now and again. And over the last decade, we've really refined the process. And the fact that we've been able to train several interns, Kevin Pekka being one of them, check out his podcast, Expect Miracles, and creating this system that really is designed to support the Blair upper cervical correction and have people hold, literally people hold for not just like days or weeks or months, but years.
Decades.
And I've only been in practice a little over 10 years. And I personally have experienced patients that I took care of when I was an intern holding for more than 10 years. And it's not like I'm a phenomenal chiropractor. It just means that I had an amazing science to apply. And when you do it right and it holds, people get well. And that's the reason that we get up every day, isn't it?
Absolutely.
So Doc, tell me about like one of your cool cases. I'm specifically thinking of a deaf lady.
Okay. So 1993, I'm in practice, maybe just a little over 2 years. My first front office CA, she refers in, her family. I'm like, bring them in, let's take care of them, right? Because especially when you're first in practice, you want to adjust everything.
Correct.
And there was her mother was actually totally deaf in one ear and pretty deaf in the other ear. She really couldn't hear. And she also had a lot of like migraine headaches and neck pain and all kinds of issues. And when I saw her films, it was the worst set of films I'd ever seen. She had the largest reversal in the curve, multiple misalignments. And I just went through and I just basically did it with Dr. Muncie. I adjusted everything that reacted. And she literally started crying on the table saying that her hearing had come back. And I just thought it was a euphoric response because I had seen these. And I'm like, you just don't move. I don't want you to lose the adjustment, because I didn't really realize, what had happened until she had come back on the next visit. She told me all the things that she could do. She could go to church and actually like sit in the back and close her eyes and not have to sit up front to try to read lips, because she was a good lip reader.
Wow.
She could use, the phone properly. There was just so many things that she could do without having to read lips because her hearing was restored. So I just think that there was just a major short circuit somehow in her nervous system where the information just wasn't getting through.
Right.
And I have a handful of patients, they'll come in and they'll go, I think I'm out. And it's like, why do you think you're out? And it's, my hearing is gone in my right ear. I'm not hearing at all.
Right.
And we put them in alignment and their hearing comes back. So that's not uncommon. Along those lines, I had a very interesting case of a guy that I adjusted, maybe 15 years ago, 16 years ago. And then I just never saw him again. First time came in, didn't see him. But then he started sending in all these people. He started sending in his wife, people that worked for him, neighbors. Probably sent in a dozen people, but I never saw him. About 2 years later, he came back. And then he finally told me why he didn't come back. And he'd had double vision for so long that when we put him in alignment, the double vision cleared. And he just was so afraid to have anybody ever touch him. He just didn't want me to screw it back up again. So somehow I put it in. And that's really one of the things that we try to do. Is we try to get it right and then not like over adjust it, re-aggravate it, to really get it in place, get the body neurologically clear, and then allow it to heal.
Right. I know. And that is what's been so phenomenal. Over the last decade, I can think of, hundreds, if not thousands of people. We literally expect miracles every day in our office. And it's the people that don't get well that we get frustrated with. And, there's a handful of people that, maybe the Blair correction isn't the issue, right? I was thinking of another patient. I want you to explain it really quick. Okay. It's a lady who had a broken leg. Do you remember that story?
Yes. So had a patient that lived part-time here and part-time on the East Coast. And she had like broken her hip and they had like pinned it and repaired it. and it failed. It just hurt. She could never walk on it. She couldn't use it. So then they had to redo the surgery, and then they redid the surgery. When I understand, she reported that it was redone 3 times, and she still walked with a huge limp, walked with a cane. Was she on a walker?
She had a walker when she walked into our office. Yeah.
First time. Yeah. She was on a walker, and she's just not doing well. And so we analyzed her. Her spine was way off. We adjusted her, and within a very short period of time, I mean, I'm talking just days, she was pretty much symptom free. It was crazy.
Yeah, it was remarkable. And I remember when you do this work, we have the intention every single time we do an adjustment that it's going to hold and that they're going to get better. And there's something to that, having that intention for the patient. But even that kind of blew me away, because we touched the top of her neck, and then the leg and the hip, where she had multiple surgical interventions, healed. And she had suffered for years. So I love having that story told. I want to talk about the journey that you've been on over these last, several years, just like evolving the process. Like, what has made you come to the decisions in the way that you practice, and how you have decided what gets done, what doesn't get done?
Early in my career, I found that there were kind of 2 categories of patients. People that you'd put in alignment, they would hold, they would do phenomenal. It was like a miracle. It was always great. And then there was the group that, didn't hold as well, didn't do as well, always had issues. So I always wanted to take the group that didn't do well and just move them into the other category, which was the phenomenal category. And so that's really where the support work came in, because I noticed that patients would hold, and then all of a sudden they might come out of alignment. I'd put them back in, and then they might have a hard time holding over and over again. We'd almost felt like we destabilized them. And a lot of doctors that do this work, they learn that the less they do, the better the result. So just having certainty and knowing that the body is in alignment, and then doing some things to activate the body. I mean, we're using that deep therapeutic laser. I mean, there's things that can be done to kind of give the body a push at the exact right time, can just be such a phenomenal support to the upper cervical correction. And so I think that's really what I've been doing. Is I spent my first part of my career really honing in my upper cervical skills to make those great corrections. Now I know I can make the corrections every time. I just want to make sure that the person's body accepts it, that they hold it, that it doesn't need to be done over and over again, that they don't get used to or habituated to needing to be adjusted, because that's really key too. A lot of times patients will just be like, their bodies just drop adjustments out at a certain time, and we don't want to see that pattern,
right?
Because we know that they won't do well if they keep dropping adjustments out.
Right. Yeah, I know. Having been under you these last years, I've learned to recognize what a retracing pattern looks like, what somebody who's like experiencing a subluxation as opposed to retracing looks like, if it's the trauma that knocked them out or if it's just a rough moment. And what I can tell you guys is that if you think you're out of alignment, always err on the side of not getting adjusted, because it's possible that they show up next week and then they're fine and the body just needs that time.
Yeah, I mean, in 27 years, I've had a couple of cases where somebody was out and I would note, I'm going to adjust this person, but for whatever reason, I'm going to let them go a little longer. Maybe I'm waiting for another misalignment to come out, because every time they throw a C1, then the C3 pops, you adjust the 3, and then the 1. It's like, let's just let your body stew for a bit. And I've had cases where I'd let them stew and all of a sudden they would stabilize, hold, not need the adjustment, and their body took off on their own. So you just want to be really conservative. If there's any chance the body can self-correct, you want to give that person a chance of self-correcting, because if your body can do the work, then it doesn't become dependent upon somebody doing it for the body.
That's exactly.
And that's huge.
Exactly. And I think that that's what we tell our patients. The better you do, the less you have to come in. And it's not because we don't want you to ever get your spine checked or your nervous system checked. What we want is for your body to become stable, because structure dictates function. And the longer you hold, the better you're going to heal. So yeah, I totally think that's awesome. Also, I want to talk about this new season that we're entering into, right? So another reason why I wanted to do this interview with Dr. Tomp and kind of have this be the end of an era, if you will, is because I've been holding a secret and I haven't been able to announce it until right now.
Yes.
And that is that I am actually leaving Precision Chiropractic and I'm starting my own practice. I've been so blessed and so incredibly grateful to be here in this place and learn and have amazing opportunities to grow in my art and my science and my philosophy as a chiropractor. And now the next evolution in my career is to be a business owner and to take on that challenge. It's a big challenge, I can tell you. Just in these last 3 months, preparing for this transition has been really educational.
You're going to do phenomenal.
Yeah. But what's awesome, you guys, is that I just want you to know that, like, I was more afraid to tell Dr. Tomp than I was afraid to take out a big business loan, because I didn't want to break his heart and I didn't want us to not be friends, because we're friends. We're family. He's my chiropractor. And it was like the hardest thing that I've ever had to do, really, as far as like coming to him and saying, I love you, but I want to leave. And he did it, with grace. He said, I get it. You're going to do phenomenal, like he just said, and I give you my blessing. And so what's been awesome is these last 3 months has been this really cool transition of him letting me spread my wings and kind of take off from the starting point of a decade of experience and then grow into whatever it is that God has for me as a business owner and as a trainer, because I have these interns that I train. And I wanted to kind of end this series of my podcast with Precision Chiropractic, because this is where all of these things have been coming from these last couple of years, with the man who gave me the most incredible opportunity, because literally I was a stranger and he took a chance on me almost 11 years ago.
Yeah, it was just about 11 years ago.
So what do you have to say about that, Dr. Tomp?
Well, I think it's awesome. I think the community is going to be really blessed to have, Dr. Hafer having her own office in South Orange County, and then with my office in South Orange County. I mean, patients travel from such a huge distance, and who knows, there might be, an intern of yours or mine or whatever that also sets up in South Orange County. We'll have like a little mini Lancaster out there. We have a lot of Blair doctors in the area,
yes,
which is good. I just think it's a blessing. I mean, there's so many people that need this kind of chiropractic. And I mean, and I get told this from patients every day. It's like, why aren't more chiropractors practicing this way? Why do I have to drive here from LA, from Laguna, from wherever, from San Diego? I mean, because chiropractors don't practice this way. And there's such a huge disconnect in how they see the subluxation. Even other upper cervical doctors. I mean, Dr. Hafer and I, we get disappointed by our patients going places, and it's like, they're not holding, they're not doing well. So, I mean, so to really be an elite upper cervical doctor, which is what I'd experienced before I'd actually opened my practice, was there were these great doctors. I mean, I was blessed to be adjusted by Dr. Muncie. I was blessed to be adjusted by the doctor that developed the NUCA work.
Ralph Gregory.
Dr. Ralph Gregory, yeah, it was always throws him, how old are you anyways? Because he died in 1989.
Right.
And that was a huge, huge experience for me. And I knew the difference with the same technique being adjusted by a master as opposed to being adjusted by someone that wasn't. And I can honestly say Dr. Hafer is a master. I mean, she is an amazing, amazing adjuster.
Thank you.
I trust her spine with me, which is awesome. And she trusts her spine I trust my spine with her, and she trusts her spine with me.
Yes.
It's just a wonderful thing. And I think it's going to be a blessing for the community. And I think it'll be good. I mean, I'm going to be expanding my hours. I have some great ideas on follow-up work with new patients because I've got such confidence. I mean, my schedule of seeing patients when I start them is so much lighter than doctors that have been doing this work for so long, because I've got so much confidence that I can just get people holding in better so quickly. I'm going to be using some of the initial follow-ups to where we make sure patients are holding and introduce corrective exercise and some good neuromuscular work that's just going to kind of really be supportive and kind of empower people to be able to take control of it for themselves and get them to turn into good holders.
Absolutely. And so for any patients that may be listening, don't worry. We're not breaking up. We're just separating. And it's a good thing. It's an expansion. It's a multiplication, right?
Right. And it'll be good for patients too, because we have patients that go back and forth, and they'll continue to go back and forth.
I'm really excited that we got to break the news here with you guys, all the listeners who are loyal and who love this show. I'm excited for Precision Chiropractic. I'm excited for the future. I'm excited that he is going to retain the awesome staff that he has in place. In fact, you guys listened to the interview I did with Heather Moore, the rad tech. I'm telling you guys, she is a diamond, and he is so blessed to have her because she is so knowledgeable and so passionate. And this is what I want to have. I want to have a Heather someday. And I will. And then, like good things are going to be happening and things are going to be changing a little bit, but that's okay because change is good and growing is good. And moving in a new, fresh direction is good. Yeah, Dr. Tomp is also going to be having his own podcast soon.
Yes, I'm going to be starting a podcast specifically mostly for our patients, so that there are going to be a lot of educational chapters, so to speak, or educational podcasts that are going to be on specific topics such as sleep, how to better hold your adjustment, nutrition, that are just going to be supportive to patients. And we're going to refer patients to it specifically, in terms of wherever their need might be. Like, hey, we have a podcast that's going to cover this topic.
I think that's awesome because patient education is super important. And being able to go online and just listen to something while you walk around the lake, like doing a healthy activity, learning a healthy thing, that's going to be cool. So you're going to be able to find that information at drtomp.com, TOMP.com. And all of the podcasts that were recorded with Is Your Head On Straight through Precision Chiropractic are always going to be on the Precision Chiropractic website. All the blogs and all the information and all the resources And then you'll be able to find me at my new place, which is Well Connected Chiropractic. So the website is wellconnectedchiro.com. We're just basically expanding the love. And I think more people are going to be helped. And the cool thing is, like he said, if I'm not available, I'm going to refer to him. And if he's not available, he's going to refer to me. And it's going to be this love in the South Orange County area, but it's going to be able to kind of expand even farther because, the point is, and both of us served on the Blair Society board. And the vision for the Blair Society is that there is a Blair doctor in every community in the world. So Dr. Tomp has got Rancho Santa Margarita on lock. And hopefully I'm going to have Mission Viejo on lock. And maybe my intern, Jared, when he graduates, he'll move to Vista or he'll move to Oceanside and we'll have North San Diego covered. We've got Kevin Pekka, who we trained out in New Jersey. And so the idea behind all of the work we do, we get up every day because we're so driven to make the world a better place through subluxation-free living. So thank you so much for listening. Thank you for being on my podcast today.
Thank you so much.
Dr. Tomp, thank you for giving me the most incredible 11 years in my career.
Thank you. It was incredible for me as well.
Yeah. And so
I'm blessed to be able to end this series having you on the show and letting the readers know that there's no hate, all love. We're going to continue to make a massive impact for the world through this thing called Blair Chiropractic. And I can't wait to have you guys come over to wellconnectedchiro.com to check out more episodes of Get Your Head on Straight with Dr. Elizabeth Hafer. Stay tuned for Dr. Tomp's upcoming podcast at drtomp.com and check that out. Thanks for being good listeners. Thanks for loving the information and the content that I produce. And if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, or have any information that you want to know, any topics that you want to be covered, you can always get a hold of me at staff@wellconnectedchiro.com. Until next time.
Thank you for listening to Get Your Head on Straight with Dr. Elizabeth Hafer. Visit wellconnectedchiro.com for more details from the show blog post and to learn what Blair Upper Cervical Chiropractic can do for you. To learn more about Dr. Hafer and her practice, you can find her at Well Connected Chiropractic in Mission Viejo, California by visiting wellconnectedchiro.com for more information.